Pull up a chair. This is Fluxtaposed, episode 234, recorded on October 23rd, 2018. On the docket today, IRL, a little listener's choice stuff, things. Oh, we got What You Playing, featuring Lake Mungo and Saga. Finally, we're going to close out the show with that community grab bag and that sweet, sweet, awkward finish. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please, please, please enjoy the show.
It's a secret.
I happen to think that is what Scatman Carruthers, Scatman John, whatever his name is, that's what he sounds like in the afterlife, you know?
If I could do that, I would do it all the time.
I don't see why you want it. Welcome to Fluxtaposed. I am Jason Lacey, joined by my best bud in the whole wide world, Mr. Lucas Rose.
Oh, hello.
I hope this Tuesday, if you're watching live, or perhaps Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, insert whatever day of the week you find yourself listening to Fluxtaposed, is treating you well. As we are here, as we like to say, pull up a chair, grab open a nice beverage, and join us on a journey through podcast entertainment, podcast mild entertainment. I'd like to think any of those things, but hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we're going to do a little podcast now, and don't skip it. Don't skip it. Stick around.
You're not going to want to miss this, so don't touch that dial.
You won't believe what happens next. If you are watching the video, you can see that I'm joined by Lucas Belichick Palpatine Rose.
Yes. I have become Darth Vader and Palpatine.
You ruined it. You broke.
Drink your Ovaltine.
You broke all the immersion. You ruined it now.
I know.
You big dummy.
Ruined do it.
You should have said you blew it.
I did blow it.
There we go. Thank you. So that's essentially what this podcast is like. I hope if you're a first time listener, welcome. Returning guests, we appreciate you. We had a recent Netflix Asian poll hit the Twitterverse, and you guys did select, as we announced last week, VHS 2. So again, you have 2 weeks yet to watch VHS 2. We will be talking about that the first episode of November, which is going to be November 6th of this year. Next week will be a gaming episode following our handy dandy content creation guidebook calendar deluxe Galaxy edition that we made up. We'll have a gaming episode. We haven't talked about a game yet. We'll figure out a genre, a playlist.
We're going to play the PS5 Spider-Man 2 multiplayer.
You got the beta? The source code?
I'm getting the beta. Yeah, I got the source code. I hacked it from SonyPlaystation.com. We're in, dude.
I hear that's Oculus Rift compatible. Finally, something.
It is, but only the second version that they just canceled.
Topical
news spoiler for those who didn't know. All you VR junkies.
That's right. So there you go. We've got VHS 2. You want to watch that, and I think you will enjoy it.
You know what? speaking of two, I'm just gonna watch both of them. I'm still watching Boskin.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too. We got great feedback on Twitter about it. We had one of our friends like their review of it, which
the trailer.
so the trailer. I mean, I feel like I kind of have to watch at this point. So
It
maybe
looks
I'll double dip.
bonkers.
That's the Fluxtaposed challenge. Watch VHS 2 and Baskin,
What?
and then you will earn a Flux to Star.
It's a
It is
double feature.
worth a whole load of Flux to crap. Double feature. Do it. Do it.
All those things.
And as always, we always like to talk about these things on Discord. You can hit us up and join us over at fluxtaposed.com/Discord. That'll get you the server invite, and you can talk. You see Lucas talking about his illnesses, and
Well, you're gonna hear about it right now.
you're gonna hear about it, but you'll get to hear about
I
it
was gonna say
firsthand.
there's much more. Yeah, you get live updates on my gallbladder status. My gallbladder just tweeted at 10:15.
Well, since you just put out a great teaser like that, let's hear about gallbladder.
Are you
attack
saying let's get
55.
into it?
Let's get into it, as we say on Battle of the Beer.
Yes.
A great show that you should check out at youtube.com.
Yes.
Battle of the Beer.
There'll be an episode releasing tomorrow, or if you're listening to this the day after.
We're following our release schedule.
Yeah, I had they were all uploaded, so I was just like, I
guess I should do this.
Yeah, I just need
How
to.
many are in the can? 3, or we got 2 left?
We got 2 left now after we released last week, and the
we
best
should-
is yet to come.
We should probably find a day to actually shoot the final 3 episodes.
Well, that's gonna get interesting because of what I'm about to talk about.
Uh-oh.
But
Okay.
yes, actually, well, before that though, teaser. Not next week. Next week's is good too, but the week after that, you're not gonna want to miss it. It's gonna be great. So, anyways, if you recall on last week's episode, I was feeling like absolute garbage, and that was because that night my body was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna digest food now. So, have fun with that, and I did. I went to bed on a full stomach, having last eaten dinner, which occurred at approximately 6 p.m. that evening,
Okay.
and
So
went to bed.
That's plenty of digestion time.
Yes, yes, plenty. Typically, I'm fighting back hunger pangs by 9 p.m. But not this night, Jason. Something was different.
Right? So would you say your body would like shout out a really great 90s anthem about going hungry?
Normally, yes, that would normally be what
I don't
was
mind
happening.
stealing bread. I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry.
Is that live? Is that the band live?
I don't think it wasn't live,
Oh.
but I think it wasn't Temple the Dog. I think that's what it is.
Lightning crashes.
I'll look it up while you tell us
Okay.
the story.
Okay, so
It's Temple the Dog.
Oh,
Okay.
thank goodness. So I went to bed. I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go to bed, even though I felt literally like garbage and my stomach was just bloated and I felt awful. So I was hoping I would just digest overnight, but I did not. In fact, I woke up at 2 a.m. and from there it was just horrible. So I said to myself, all right, self, we're just gonna throw this up, because it's clearly not coming through. Yes. Well, and my stomach felt like hot battery acid. It just was not good. I don't know what was going on, but it had to come out, and it wasn't going to go the right way. So it had to go one way on the wrong way street or something.
Isn't that like a terrible feeling too? When that's the conclusion you have to draw. It's like, well, I got to do this.
Well, it's bad
I
when
mean-
you have to come to that conclusion and your body isn't just like, I'm going to feel sick
I can
now.
see that.
You're like, no, I am going to, I will be the one in control. And then I proceeded to attempt to throw up and couldn't quite do it. So I went back to sleep. I threw up a little bit, but it wasn't as relieving as I was hoping. Went back to sleep, woke up probably another hour or two later, feeling exactly the same, still just bloated and awful and undigested. And I said, all right, we're going to try a little bit harder this time. And sure enough, whoo, once you pull the plug, man, it all came out.
Ugh.
So I threw, I cleared all that out and I went to bed, and I felt slightly better, but not great. Enough that I could sleep at least. So the next day besides obviously feeling like I threw up hot battery acid, which is one of my favorite metal bands, by the way. I guess it'd be more like punk band. But anyways, uh, I kept getting nauseous whenever I ate, and I just didn't feel normal. Like I would get hungry and then I would start eating, but I would immediately get kind of full feeling. And I was digesting at this point, though. I was very cautious about that, but I could tell, I could feel the water. I would drink some water and it would go through. I was super dehydrated. Holy cow. Because none of that water would go through my body, so it probably wasn't getting to the parts it needed to get to.
Right.
And so for a few days, I just felt nauseous and just didn't feel that great. Now, I had a doctor's appointment already scheduled for Friday, and I made it until Friday, and I eventually started feeling better and better and better to the point where I'm at now, where I feel somewhat normal again as far as being able to eat.
This was like a regular scheduled follow up from all the previous symptoms.
Yes, I didn't make this one.
duration.
Yep, this was for my blood pressure and my other stuff, and like weight loss and stuff like that. So, I talked to her about it, and she said, "Yeah, it sounds like gallbladder." So we did some blood tests, and she just wanted to do it specifically. I didn't have to fast or anything. This wasn't for my cholesterol or anything like that. She just specifically wanted to see what my enzymes or proteins or whatever they are, whatever shows up in the blood test when they check your liver function. There's some things in there. And then, of course, I've talked about bilirubin before, which is a fun word to say. And that's basically bile. I mean, it's like bile salts or something. It's an indicator of how much bile is in your blood. You typically have a little bit, but most of that gets excreted out. So if for some reason you have a blockage, instead of it being excreted through your intestines, colon, all that stuff, it just ends up going in your blood and eventually kind of works its way out even to the skin level, I guess. And I'll come back to that in a second. But we did the blood test, and she said if it's nothing important, you won't hear back until like a week from now. But if there's something that we see, you'll hear back probably by Monday. And I said, okay. I said, well, are you expecting anything serious? And she said, no, probably not, but you never know. Doesn't hurt to be prepared. And I said, okay. So Monday rolls along, and I get a call I have a voicemail. I'm like, oh no, it's from the hospital. So now I got to call them. So I call them, and of course I'm dreading because it obviously means something was serious. Like they weren't calling me to just be like, hey, everything's okay. We just want to tell you right away. That's not how the world works. So I call them back, and they say, everything is elevated that points to a gallbladder problem. Most likely some kind of blockage. And I said, well, can I have those results sent to me so I can just see the numbers? I'm very number driven. Even though I hate math, I like to know the things that are going on. She's like, yeah. So she sent it along, and I'm looking at it, and there are 3 things that show up on there, one of which is the bilirubin, and then some proteins or enzymes or whatever that basically say how much liver damage you might have at that particular moment or be experiencing because of these proteins or whatever that are in your blood. It's an indicator. All of these things are indicators. My bilirubin levels were twice as high as the topmost amount because it's a range. So twice as high as the topmost amount. One of my liver enzyme thingies, the indicators, was almost 3 times as high. It was like it maxed out at like 155. Mine was like 357. So that was really bad. And then the other 2 were also high. One wasn't too bad, but there was another one that was twice as high as the maximum allowed, basically. Everything else looked fine. My proteins, my, calcium and all that stuff. So she said, this definitely points to gallbladder. And the interesting part for me is that a lot of people can have different experiences. Like you can have gallbladder problems and it won't be the same as the next person. So long story short, I'm guessing like a partial blockage or something, some sort of gallstones that are partially blocking a bile duct, or get inflamed, and then once it's inflamed, it blocks up even more because it's getting like squished down that little bile duct.
Yeah.
Because it's not very big, so of course it's basically made to fail. It seems like. So from here, basically what it looks like is I have an ultrasound scheduled for this Saturday. And then I just scheduled a doctor's or a surgeon's consultation next Tuesday in the morning. And so next episode, I'll have more information as far as actually, is it going to be surgery? But I would say it's probably 80% likely that it's going to be surgery, depending on what the ultrasound looks like. So, I mean,
are they going to put you in like a machine, like in oh gosh, what's the Prometheus, and like these lasers, and they
I wish, but I guess I can't complain though, because they say nowadays, instead of opening you up with like a 6-inch cleaver scar, they just put they're like 4 little 1-inch cuts cutting through your muscle, your skin, your muscle, your diaphragm, whatever. So you got a couple layers to get through. And then they just stick a scope in you, and that pretty much does everything. So it's super, assuming that that's what's happening, super simple, in and out, and probably a couple hours. Most of the time will be, getting prepped, I'm sure. And then I think the surgery takes about 45 minutes. So I'm scared. I've never had surgery. I've never gone under, but it'll be fine, I'm sure.
My wife says if you talk to her, because she had never gone under either until she had a procedure done earlier in the year, and she was always nervous about it, and as sensitive as she is to medication, she's like, so if you ever talk to anybody, talk to her. She's like, I would get an epidural again in a heartbeat, and I would take that dream sleep any day.
Oh man.
It was like,
that sounds great.
She woke up from it, and it's just like, and after she like came to and had the time where after she was loopy, she's like, I've never felt so good.
Well, and I'm curious to see, speaking of feeling good, and that's what I figured. My only real hesitation, honestly, is my blood pressure, which is still high. As soon as I stopped working out, it shot right back up to dangerous levels. Like I was 180 over 110 at the doctor's office. Now, when I get it checked there, it's always high because for some reason I get anxious about it, and it kind of gets in my mind, and my blood pressure goes up. So that's part of it too, but I got put on a different prescription for that because the one I was taking kept giving me acid reflux, and she looked at me funny because it's not a symptom of that medication. But every time I take it, 5 a.m. I would wake up and just burning right in my chest, like somebody shoved a hot coal down my throat, which, I'm sure there's some people who want to do that out there, but
there might be.
I don't want to have to feel that.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I'm not. I know that now. So, in closing, though, I'll know more next episode. It's probably, well, here, this is how important it is. My doctor just said to my wife when they went to my son's appointment on this Monday, or Tuesday, Monday. She said, I will be surprised if he doesn't end up getting it removed in the ER, if he can make it long enough till the surgery appointment. And that scared me. I was like, oh God. So I bought.
That's a terrible thing. That's a horrible thing for them to say, though.
I bought like a bunch of bland food, making sure I'm keeping track of, well, not keeping track, but getting as low amount of fats as possible. But on the other hand, I mean, on Friday after my doctor's appointment, because I didn't have my blood results yet, we had pizza. So I hope it's not, fingers crossed, I hope it's not as dire as it seems, but that could just mean it's random, which is almost worse, because then I'm like, it could just happen anytime, really. So, that's hopefully that puts all of this to bed. And like I said, speaking of feeling better, I hope once it gets removed, maybe my blood pressure will go down a little bit, because if it's inflamed all the time, and this has been happening for a year and a half, it's possible that it would be elevated from that. Maybe not. I mean, I have a history of it anyway, so can't run from it. But I'm hoping I feel better. No more ticking time bomb in my stomach waiting to lay me out. So hopefully good things, I guess, is coming out of this. Plus, it needs to happen before the end of the year because according to my wife, we have hit our deductible on our insurance. So if it doesn't matter if it's ER or if it's scheduled at the surgeon, it's all the same as far as that's concerned. So, it only took me going to the ER and hospital and doctors over and over again to
make it happen.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's that. My super fancy health update. Not an ER visit for once. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, hopefully you don't have another ER visit, and I hope you can make it to the scheduled date if that's what it, requires.
I hope so. If I had to guess, I would say probably the second week of November is probably what they'll schedule me for. Would be, give or take, like 3 days. It's probably hopefully what they can get me in for. So.
Hey, you might have noticed my camera just hiccuped there for a second. I just noticed in Discord video chat you can select your regions now, and I was default set to U.S. Central, and there's just a little drop down above our little cameras.
Oh yeah, U.S.
by the
East.
search bar. So now I'm on U.S. East.
Wow.
For some reason I was on Central. I don't know. Nifty thing. Well, for me, we recorded the show a day late last week due to scheduling things, so it wasn't really, honestly, not a lot has happened because we had a family wedding to go to, so we loaded. I had Friday through Monday off, and we were up in Rogers City, where I talked about over the summer. With my in-laws, we rented a house up there and got to stay up there and spend some time with the family and just kick back and experience the cold. It was cold up there, but just do a lot of different. It was nice just to spend time with my son and my wife and quality time with the family, and nothing of note. The wedding was very interesting, very hickerbilly.
I saw that you. I saw you had said that the food they had there.
Well, yeah. Well, so I didn't go to the reception. I stayed with my son because the ceremony because that was like at 2:00 and he's still napping at that point. But we came to the reception, and I guess like
that's where all the fun is anyway.
The rings were like 25 minutes late. I don't know what happened there. And originally they were supposed to have it outside in northern Michigan.
They were still crafting them in the fires of Mount Mordor.
Right. So they originally intended to have the wedding outside, but mid to late October in northern Michigan, that's probably not a good option. It was high winds, bitter cold, so they moved it. Ended up being in the same spot where the reception was at, and the groom is kind of a piece of work anyway. But
how do you know these people again? I'm sorry.
It's my wife's mom's brother's daughter, so it's her cousin, one of her cousins.
Okay, so you really don't know them that well then, I'm guessing.
Right.
Okay.
But the groom, it just seems like your typical redneck, like I work on my truck type thing. And unfortunately, I the stuff I know about him, he's not really that good of a person, I think. But
okay,
he shows up to the reception, has his baseball cap on the whole time.
Yeah,
we
I
were
thought
worried
that was
that
a little weird.
he was gonna have it on during the ceremony, but literally he always has it on because I think he's like self-conscious because he's like
balding.
His hair's thin. He always has his ball cap on. So already shows up at the reception, the ball cap on, the tie all loosened. You could tell he's already been drinking heavily, and it was just like, part of me was
we're supposed to stand. Somebody tell me we're supposed to stand.
Like so many groups say they don't care, but it's like at some point, not like I look back at our wedding pictures, but like for other people, it's like, don't you want to like at least be presentable and like not have the hat and not
it's a respect thing. Like I said, like I'm sure. I guess I hope that your wife now doesn't care that you are not treating it very seriously, but just
I think she thinks she can change him and make him a better person.
Boy.
That type of scenario. And yeah, for the food was hamburgers and hot dogs. So that was a first at a wedding.
Now, were they good hamburgers and hot dogs, or were they like the frozen?
They were good.
Okay,
I thought they were good. So.
Okay, well then I wouldn't.
I don't really care. And they had They had a bar. Now apparently it was the groom's job to get the beer for the bar.
Okay.
And he knew about it, and then he just never did it. So my uncle-in-law was just like, well, I'm not going to pick up the tab. It's going to be a cash bar then. But then
that's something you should be figuring out while it's happening.
Yeah, and then he went to the bar service and he gave him a list of names. He's like, these people, don't have to pay. So his family, he was like,
for
he was
free.
like, yeah, it's like his like family members was like, yep. So, I don't know. It was just interesting.
That sounds like
But
a strange ass. Well, and what's nice about like that much separation is that you kind of just get to hang back and just kind of look at the proceedings and make notes and just
and
be like,
we
"Dang."
left pretty early because we had Aiden too, because we put I think we took off
Wait.
after 7.
You didn't just tell your wife to take the kid so that you could stay and drink?
Yeah, no, I didn't do that, and
Wow.
that was it, man. Just had a lot of good time with the family, and that's really it. We got back yesterday, and now I'm back to work. And
What was the drive time?
it's like a 4.5 hour drive.
Ooh, there and back, or
Yeah, one way.
oh, okay.
And we have to stop because we usually try to time it out so Aiden's awake for like a little bit, and then we stop to eat or whatever, and then he takes his nap.
Did you drive at all during this time?
No, I didn't this trip.
Did that please you, or are you a driver? Because personally, I'm a driver. I'd rather just be driving.
It doesn't matter. I can go either
That's
way.
good. That's good. Some people like it would kind of drive me nuts to go for 4 hours because I find like I'll take my stuff with me, but I can't ever really focus on it, so I just end up sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, like the drive up, we were all talking, and then I was, on social media here and there, and I was deleting work emails as they'd come in, or I'd sit in the back with Aiden, and then I'm just, playing with him, entertaining him. So that
Jason,
helps
are
too.
you going to be on a device the entire trip? I'm not saying that happened or not, but I just like to imagine that it did.
Gosh.
That's funny. Well, it sounds like you had it's almost like a mini vacation.
Yeah, because we had the weekend before that. We were away on our anniversary, and now we had this weekend. So now here we are.
Here you are. You made it.
Back to reality.
You should write a movie about it. I mean, it sounds like a movie to me. You just have to like punch up the comedy, as they say.
I do.
You go through the rough draft first, and then on the second draft, you punch up the comedy.
Put some projectile vomiting in there, some diarrhea. And
yeah, exactly.
That'll probably make for a great time.
Just assume that Paul Rudd is going to play you. And so as you're writing it, just only write it for him. So if he doesn't agree to play the part, you basically can't make the movie. I hear that's a really good strategy to go with.
I like this idea. I like where you're going at.
Cool.
I like it.
Cool.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you for that idea.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Now I get a credit on the movie now.
You do.
Pay me money.
Typically on the show, guys, we have a content that's been planned out. We like to always announce it and get your interactions. And through this time, we had the way the schedule kind of planned out. We had a little gap here, and rather than coming up with something or shoehorning something in there, I was like, hey, you know what? Let's just leave it up to the listeners, the viewers. I announced that in last week's show to, hey, send us your stuff, and we'll either send something you'd like us to talk about, like a topic or a theme. And in this case, which we've done in the past, I think we more got some questions to answer in regards to the show. So that is going to be our main focal point this evening.
Excellent. I love it.
Listeners lightning round.
It's like an extra grab bag.
It is, because there's no regular grab bag. So we got this instead. So this
Boom. Well,
actually, no, I take that back. I found a Dan Anthony-esque article for the grab bag last week.
Oh, snap. So, I almost did that too. Maybe I should start entering. It's almost going to just be the return of the news section.
Yeah, I found a good one. So
Excellent.
Starting off with our listener's choice for tonight, Mr. Spooky Bit at Bad Bit, Joseph Moran himself. Yeah, who would win in a fight? Also, who would fight dirty? Please expand on this. My money is on Jason, meaning I would fight dirty.
Oh, I thought his money was on you to win.
But that could have been maybe. Well, these are two separate tweets, so it's hard to take that context.
Where's the break?
Yeah.
Please, where did he break it? Like, where was the
that was the tweet number 2. Or no,
my money is on Jason.
Tweet number 2 is also who would fight dirty.
Ah, gotcha.
So
okay.
Lucas, we've lived together. We've been friends for a while. We haven't had too many escalated altercations. I mean, in our tenure as friends.
We're both like pissy, passive aggressive people.
Yeah, we're both more likely just to go in our room and type angry messages about you on you can see them.
closed. I guess I'm not gonna play World of Warcraft with him
Yeah. I'm gonna type an angry blog on MySpace and hope that he reads it later.
This is great poetry, fuel. Freaking hate that guy. Oh, hey, dude, what's up? Yeah, no, I'm just going to the kitchen.
I mean,
Okay.
if we compare like fighting statistics now, I mean,
I thought you were gonna say fighting styles. I was like, we have
you've
styles now.
you've dropped down in weight class. We're in a similar weight class
Ooh,
now.
that's only gonna
so
hurt me, though. Honestly,
I have a slight height advantage on you, not much.
how's
I'm
your
not sure
reach
about-
these days?
I know. I don't know. That's like I said. I don't know what our reach is.
All right, get
I
on
feel
the
like
tape
I
measure.
feel like I'm just my build naturally is just a little more linkier than yours. So I feel
Yeah.
like I might have you in the reach.
Yeah,
advantage.
I have a long torso, so I feel like I don't have very long arms. You know, I don't have
Yeah.
very long legs either, actually. So I would imagine my arms aren't too long. And quite honestly, have you ever been in a fight before? Because I sure as hell haven't. I've boxed before, but that's completely
not
different.
like a physical fight, like a fist fight. No, I never have.
So so in that sense, we're basically just going to
It's gonna look
employ.
like that video of those two cyclists that are fighting with one another during this race, and they're like can't throw punches at all, and it's just terrible
Or
looking.
a slap fight like in soccer usually.
Yeah.
I would imagine that. See, now here's the thing. I just described my health situation. You got to bring that into play.
Ooh.
I'm not
I
looking too
used
hot.
to work out at the gym. You used to work out at home.
That's true. That's true.
We don't work out at all anymore.
Endurance is always a question for me because I have never been too fit. So
I took my dog and my kid for a walk today, so I mean,
you're gonna win on the endurance for sure. I would say that most likely one of two things are gonna happen. One, we either both get tired and just give up,
Ooh.
which is most likely.
Yeah.
Or two, I would lose because I would get tired and wouldn't want to get hurt anymore.
I'm gonna play the strategery game, the long game.
Yes, you're gonna get in my
like it,
mind.
So who's gonna fight dirty then? I think because of the health situation, I think you're gonna fight dirty now because you got to make up that ground. You're like, you know that
Ooh,
that
depends on how desperate I get. Because honestly, I don't think any of
you're gonna
either
use
of
your
us
you're
would.
gonna use your alien toxic spit.
my stomach acid. I
As a
just
vial.
I just have to. You're like, what is he doing? And I'm just like giving myself the Heimlich, basically.
like an episode of Celebrity Deathmatch.
Sounds like bacon cooking.
Oh my god.
This fight, it looks like Celebrity Deathmatch. This fight just got really weird.
Oh my god.
I think either way, whoever wins, we're both going to be jacked up a bit by the end of it.
If whoever wins, we both lose because we just threw a good friendship out the window.
That's true. It's always in
true.
fun. It's always in fun when we fight.
We had a couple messages hit through Discord. I posted this in the Make Us Better community section as well. Seth is the GOAT with a real humdinger. Cats.
Not even a question mark. It's
Not
just
even
that's
a question mark.
That's
just,
a statement.
Just cats. So I think that's just a statement. So, yeah, they're an animal.
They are an animal, domesticated.
I've owned them. You've owned them.
I have owned a singular cat.
I think maybe Asher is the breed of dog that will live forever. But in case something ever does go wrong, and he doesn't,
Can't get rid of this damn dog.
I don't think we'd get another dog. Maybe we would get a cat just because
Yep.
they're less maintenance.
That's true. All of their maintenance.
They're not maintenance, but they're more self-sustaining. How about that?
Yes, they're not less maintenance. It's just all of their maintenance clumps together in one specific spot that you have to.
I'll get some weird cat that has some weird disease and requires injections.
Just
or something.
sprays
That's
urine
what
on everything that you own.
Ugh.
Great cat. Very
cat.
friendly. He pees on everything. But other than that,
There's like a cat's like movie or something based on the show with like Idris Elba.
9 Lives.
I think.
There's that 9 Lives
Oh.
with Alec Baldwin or something.
God. Similar vein, Kaboski also on Discord says croquet tips. Now at least, wait, is that croquet? Or is that crochet?
It's
That's croquet, right?
No, I think that's crochet.
Oh, darn!
Yeah,
I was
well,
hoping
that's
it was
crochet. Yeah, because croquet
Oh,
has
no.
a Q
Has a
in
K
it.
in it, doesn't it?
No, Q.
Croquet. No, I think it has a Q.
CROQUET.
Well, darn! Now that's totally not fun. Now crochet tips. I don't know. I've never crocheted.
Listen,
You use is that where you use the sticks, or do you do
It's
the
the
loop?
sticks, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's knitting. Knitting and crochet are the same thing, right?
Well, knitting you use needles, and croquet you have.
Somewhere somebody's like,
I mean, croquet.
those are
Crochet is-
they couldn't be more different. The difference
I think
between okay, here.
I have many fine leather-bound books.
The difference between croquet and crochet. Now I'm confused. How do we say it? Crochet, right? And knitting
Crochet, yeah.
is um okay. I thought there we
This
go.
is the worst
I think it's what you
explanation
use. I think it's the stuff that you use. Both crafts utilize yarn or fiber, and you can make the same sorts of projects, sweaters, shawls, blah, 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 with either technique. Both knitters and crocheters work from patterns, and use abbreviations. Oh, some of them, okay. Knitting and crocheting both require similar skills, both knitters, amazing health benefits.
Both.
Well, because nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Above
Nobody cares.
all, both knitters and crocheters need to have the patience necessary to keep working stitch after stitch after stitch until a project is complete. And that
There you go.
is where
Now
I
say
would
that
fail.
Say that one more time and just really enunciate it, and there's our tip.
Above all, both knitters and crocheters need to have the patience necessary to keep working stitch after stitch after stitch until a project is completed.
Thank you. There you
Hot
go.
tip.
I hope that serves you well on your journey to crocheting mastery.
Special
Now-
K is just like
Now we're getting
crocheting.
stuff. I think we can actually have some
Sink our
some
teeth
meat
into
on
it.
the bones. Do it
I don't know.
here.
The fight was pretty good though.
Who it was, Mr. Patrick Wagon, Patty Wagon, Nintendo Talk. Legend has it that a good pumpkin ale exists. Any suggestions? Because I've never had a good one. Joy emoji. And I asked him, could you top of your head, what have you tried, so we can touch on that? The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Shipyard, which I would believe would be Pumpkin, right? I've had the Shipyard one.
No, I think that's just pumpkin ale.
Is it just Shipyard Pumpkin Ale?
I want to say that it was not very
Pumpkinhead.
Yes, I was gonna say I don't think I like
I've
that one
had it.
very much.
I've had it once. I mean, if you go by its beer advocate score or rate beer, it looks like it's pretty middle of the road. Average is a 3. So
That's not very
I
good
had
for a
it.
pumpkin
It was
ale.
all right, but I mean, here's the thing. I found like I'm usually pretty all in on pump. Not all in. I've enjoyed the style, but I think I've gotten more in recent years. I've gotten more into the Bavarian thing of beers, so I'm much more going for an Oktoberfest, more into a Marzen for this time of
Yes.
year.
Marzens are good.
Now my more go-to, but I still do enjoy a good pumpkin ale. And I think there's been, I mean, it depends. There's different variants, and we've talked about this before, and we've talked about it on Battle of the Beer. You can go like full on, I want this to taste like pumpkin pie, or there's the thing where it's like I'm going to take pumpkin pie, I'm going to break apart all the elements, and I'm going to do certain things that call to that.
Because you can
certain
have a sweet, you can have a dry, you can have pumpkin. There's a difference between pumpkin and like a pumpkin pie beer because they're.
Yeah.
Remember the one we had that just tastes like pumpkin juice? I think we had it on the show. It was like straight up not what we were expecting at all.
Yeah. We did a pumpkin episode way back when, and it was Pumpkin versus Pumpkick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think Pumpkin was the one that was the winner, and was that by, I don't even remember who that was by anymore.
Pumpkin. That's
and that's not a bad one. It's not, I mean, it's not going to knock your socks off, but I mean,
Southern Tier.
Southern Tier? Okay.
Yeah. Which,
because like, I think, like, I was just thinking, like, my top pumpkin ales are probably still, and I know it's not one of your favorites, but I still love Ichabod. I think.
See, it's solid. That's solid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a solid, and that's not gonna be. It's not like the pumpkin flavor isn't like in your face.
No.
You know, it's much more cinnamon and like the nutmeg, the allspice. Those type of flavors are much more pronounced. But if you go to, I haven't had it in a while, but I still think the last time I had it, I really enjoyed it was Flying Dog's pumpkin ale. I always thought that was a solid pumpkin ale from Flying Dog,
Mm.
not Flying Dog. Excuse me, Dogfish Head.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I've had that. Yeah, that I
Pumpkin
also, yeah,
pumpkin
that
ale.
one was pretty
I think that's a
solid.
really good beer.
Now,
Um,
for me, here's the thing, because I have a fairly bad sweet tooth when it comes to stuff like this. I'm of the other camp. I want it to
you're
be
looking for the pumpkin pie beer.
beer. Yes. So a general, like, if that's you and you want something that's kind of sweet and filled with that pumpkin pie flavor, your best my best guess for you, and what I end up doing a lot of the time, is I will buy one that is a heavier beer. So it's like a stout or a imperial stout or something like that. And those I find tend to be more sweet already anyways. But when you add the pumpkin in, it gives it kind of that thicker, sweeter, almost dessert beer type flavor that I'm looking for. So speaking of Southern Tier, they're Warlock, and they also have the pumpkin cold coffee or cold pressed coffee version, which is really good because then you get that pumpkin flavor, but there's a little bit more working there, so it doesn't just feel like you're drinking a pumpkin pie liquid form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But overall, I would
This
say try for those higher ABV kind of double or imperial pumpkin stouts and stuff like that.
No, this is interesting. I'm on beeradvocate.com and I searched top pumpkin beers and I got two different links. And this is interesting because they're two different lists and they don't have the same results. So this one list is, top rated pumpkin beers. And it's sorted by weighted rank. So the first beer with the highest score, oh, that's weird. Okay, because it goes by the number of ratings. The number one beer on this list is Picture If You Will by Bottle Logic Brewing, which
Never
I've
heard of.
never heard of. So I'm going to look
Well,
them
that brings
and
up another thing too. Is it's going to be tough because depending on where you're from, you're not going to have the same options. At least
Right,
Southern Tier
exactly.
is pretty
Right, and
close to.
that's some smaller brewing in California, and then we have like on this top 10 list, for example, I have only heard of one of the beers, which is Schlafly's Pumpkin Ale, which is a St. Louis brewery. But these other ones, Bottle Logic Brewing, Aleworks Brewing, St. Arnold Brewing, Cigar City. I've heard of Cigar City, obviously.
Yeah.
St. Arnold Brewing, Sellen's Grove Brewing. So I don't know what's up with this list. But this other list is a little more right. So this one, at least I feel this is a little more national.
Okay.
So on this this is ordered by number. Okay, well, that's interesting. This is ordered by the number of reviews. So I don't know why you would do that. Gosh,
I guess you're just assuming that
I guess you're just assuming. So this
it's
is going to
most
be
popular
this is going to be
because of
tougher. But
number.
Pumpkin Southern Tier has a 4.05 score with over 7,500
That's pretty solid.
reviews. So I think that's going to be up there. Pumpkin Ale is on there.
Yeah.
Blue Moon Harvest Pumpkin Wheat. Don't do that. That's not good.
That's you. What you should do is get the get one of the better ones we're talking about, and then get that and try them back to back, and then you'll understand why they're not good. Because I've had that one by itself, and it's fine. It doesn't taste like garbage. It just is an example of a flat pumpkin beer that just kind of has one flavor, and you're just like, really, this is it? There's no spice in it or anything like that.
Imperial Pumpkin Ale by Weyerbacher.
Yep, I've had that one. One of my favorites.
Imperial Pumpkin Ale. Oh, that's what I just said. Pumpkin Head Ale from Shipyard. So both of the ones that we've mentioned already. Samuel Adams Pumpkin Ale. I think I've had that. That's not anything.
That one wasn't too good. No, I have had that.
Schlafly's Pumpkin Ale. Pumpkin Ale. I don't know. That one. New Holland's Ichabod.
Ballast Point is on this list.
Pumpkick.
Oh, Pumpkick's on there?
I've seen this one from Cigar City again as well. Good Gourd Imperial Pumpkin Ale. So.
Good Gourd. Well, Gourd.
Thing is, it's a style that I think some people just aren't a fan of, and some people are, and then I think it has a bit of a
not bias, a bit of a bad reputation or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it just depends. I
Well, it
think
goes along with
it's
that whole pumpkin spice latte, basic
exactly, yeah, it
bitch.
does. But let's face it, guys are like that about IPAs all year round. So whatever. It's a interesting style, and you're only going to really enjoy it for 2 months out of the year. I think fall is a great time to have browns, and I think pumpkin's a fun style. And I really, if you can't find a pumpkin and you want to have something that's seasonal, I would highly recommend you to explore the more Germanic styles. Go try a Marzen or an Oktoberfest. Well, an Oktoberfest is typically a Marzen, but give a Marzen a shot because I think those are great beers. But I think there really is I think there can be a pumpkin ale out there that you can enjoy, and I think it just depends. Are you have you had a beer that's trying to do more of the authentic pumpkin flavor, or now okay, let's find something that has a little more of that cinnamon, a little more of that
Yeah.
spice, a little more of that sweetness to
If
offset that.
if you can do this, my suggestion would to be go somewhere where you can buy single bottles, pick up like that Blue Moon, pick up one or two of the your more larger craft breweries like a Sam Adams or even the one from Dogfish Head. Then find out what you have locally, and maybe one of those Southern tier ones too. Just get a whole 6-pack of them and go from there. Because you'll find, even though they're all pumpkin, they all will taste very different.
Yeah. Patrick is in the Rhode Island area, if I remember right. So he's in the
Okay.
Northeast. So there should be a lot of good beer options around him. Should have a good distribution map to pull from. So
I mean, I do that with any style that I did that with Oktoberfest. I just grabbed a bunch of them because even though they're all the same style, it's nice to be able to try them when they're fresh in your memory, even if you're not drinking them back to back to back. But
and I remember back in the day when I thought that the Blue Moon and that pumpkin ale that was good, but that's good to give you a baseline because you can have that and say, okay, this is what a very run of the mill mediocre pumpkin ale tastes like, and then I can guarantee
non-nuanced.
you're gonna have some stuff above that.
Yep.
So thank you for the question, sir. And rounding out our listener lightning round, I guess that's what I'm gonna call it, Mr. Nathan Thomas. Blast from the past. Good to hear from you, sir.
Yes, it's been a
This
while.
has been a crazy year.
He uses the hashtag.
Yeah, he did. This has been a crazy year for me on so many levels. It really has been a year of achieving goals and resetting my sights on new goals, saying, what's next? Where can I focus? My hashtag Q for F.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Hasn't happened yet. What goals do you have personally, professionally? And then at first I thought personally and professionally, but I think this means these are 3 separate questions. What goals do we each have personally, we each have professionally, and then 4 Fluxtaposed? How close are you to achievement? And when you achieve those goals, how do you celebrate? Personally, I guess a good personal goal is to get out of debt. We had the hospital bill, we had the credit card bill. I'd like to get those paid off and get us back onto our goal and our path of saving for Aiden and being, back into a point where, hey, you know what, let's save for a vacation again. I hope to take Aiden on a Disney World trip when he's older, be able to take my wife somewhere, so I think that's a good
what is a vacation
goal.
What is this that you speak of?
I know, right? Professionally, the most closest goal that comes to mind is get us into the new office without any hiccups. I've got a network I'm getting built out. I've got new workstations getting set up. I got new workstations that need to get built out. We have to move, and then I've got to just deal with everything that comes with that. So I think that's my first immediate goal is getting through 2018, getting everything in place to move into 2019, and then as we move into the office, I'm just going to have more and more responsibility and tasks that come up, and I'm just kind of further to separate my job duties from doing this jack of all trades to do more specialized, and hopefully I think that's going to keep pointing in the direction of technology, where I hope that within a couple years time I might be able to step into a place as maybe a chief technology officer position, maybe as an executive of the company, and hopefully get a bigger paycheck out of the whole deal. And for Fluxtaposed, Fluxtaposed has always been the show that's kind of surprised me and I don't think it's not for the content that we create, but from the the quality and the caliber of the people that we've connected with through doing the show. If you join us on Discord, you see that it's not the biggest Discord server you're ever going to be part of. It's not the most active Discord server you're going to be a part of. But I think the people that join us there are like some of the true, like, I don't want to say hardcore, but some of the true core friends that we made through doing the show. And I think the conversations that we do have are a riot and a really great time. So for me, for Fluxtaposed, and if I had set a short-term goal, it's to continue to grow the Twitch channel, to hit our affiliate status, which we're doing great. We're well on the path of. We would love for you to follow twitch.tv/Fluxtaposed. That's the one immediate goal. Hit those 50 followers, and we'll hit that. But in terms of Fluxtaposed, I mean, yeah, you can always say exposure and to grow the audience and this and that, but I mean, I would just like to continue having fun doing the show and to hit our Patreon goals. I can say that, but really what I like to know best about Fluxtaposed is when we talk about something that resonates with someone, or when we are just listening to our show, kind of makes the trolley dreary monotonous of everyday life a little bit better for that person that's listening to it.
Yeah.
So if I just set a goal for Fluxtaposed, it would be to continue to do that, to continue to bring some humor and some fun to the everyday monotony of life. And then when someone's feeling down or having hardship about life, they can listen to us, who often share about our hardships and the things that we're struggling through, and say, hey, you know what? Those guys are having a hard time too. I'm not the only one that's experienced something like this. And that really helps lift them up in a time when they're maybe not feeling quite so well.
Well, and we've always been described as almost like you're just hanging out at a bar with us, and like we're your friends and we're all just hanging out or whatever. So, which is, to me, is awesome. Like, I like the podcasts I listen to be that way. There's always nice. It's always nice to hear one like Lore, where it's got really great production value and it almost tells you a story or whatever. But
it's something we never do, research.
Yeah, exactly. Or we just show up and hit record. But when there's something to be said about when you hit a certain age and you find you don't have as much time to go out and do the stuff you used to do or whatever. And it's almost like catching up with your friends when you hear like any of the podcasts in our kind of group or community that we sort of belong to. So I like that about us, that we can, like you said, cheer somebody up just by kind of being just kind of hanging out with them, so to speak.
Right.
And being able to engage in an audience that is small enough that we can actually engage with them as opposed to just it all being noise.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, I work and I come home and spend the little time I can with my son and my wife, and I don't have a whole lot of other time in my life to go out to social functions or have a lot of close friendships locally. So, the internet is where I have some of my strongest friendships, excluding you, of course. We're friends outside of that as well, but we interact mostly through this medium as well. So it's been great to continue to get to know people and share, stories, and to get to know all of you guys throughout what we've been doing this
234 episodes.
34 episodes divided by how many 52 weeks in a year. So
yeah,
and we've skipped years. So I mean, just it's been a great journey. So I just like to see all that continue. What about you, Lucas?
Well, I guess for me, the most obvious personal goal that I've had was weight loss, and I've talked about that. And for the most part, I'm there. Like, well, it kind of doesn't count, but being sick really does a lot for your weight loss, apparently, because I weighed in at 174.2, which is the lowest I ever remember being since I've started weighing myself. And a lot of that has to do with my health, but a lot of it also has to do with the way that I feel and the way that I feel about myself, like being on a beer show or being on, now that we do the live show and have been doing it since episode 200. So maybe a little bit earlier than that, but
a little bit. Yeah. We did the live episode 200 and then we did a couple. Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to look good. Obviously that's part of my, part of the reason why I want to lose weight and plan to continue to do so. for a little while anyway. And this is the first time I've ever really hit my weight loss goals. For the longest time, I've always been stuck between like 215 and 205, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got all the way down to 205, and then something would happen. I'd get sick or whatever. And I've talked about doing things like P90X, where you kind of feel like you have to be, as soon as you miss a couple days, you're just like, you're done. You're effed now, and you might as well not even try anymore. And learning how to do weight loss, like basically learning new habits, and realizing that you don't have to do a program. Like, you don't have to do P90X necessarily and have weight loss. I think a lot of these programs and a lot of just the types of stuff that you see for weight loss and working out stress a little bit too much about what you need to be doing as far as your diet and everything. They act like if you end up eating a cheeseburger one night, you're going to go to hell or whatever. And for me, I had to realize I didn't need to internalize that as much. I didn't need to overthink that as much, because in the long road, and it is a really long road, but there are gonna be times when you have to eat a cheeseburger because for whatever reason, that's just how life is, or you're gonna eat pizza or whatever, and you just do your best to mitigate what you're doing, and then you just continue on the next day, because life isn't how good you can do one day or how bad you did the next day. It's just a culmination of the last, for me, 3 years of what I did right and getting momentum and being able to keep that momentum going. I've had lots of times where I stopped for a month doing any sort of exercise or keeping track of my food or anything like that, because it's a pain in the ass, and you start getting tired of doing it and you just want to eat. Or like holidays are coming up and you don't want to be that guy who's like using MyFitnessPal to log, some freaking bread rolls, and you're just like, can I see the package so I can scan the bread rolls so I know how much? It's like everyone's looking at you like you're crazy. And
I can say from doing that years ago and then doing it now, though, man, the technology has helped make that so much easier.
It has. And they've definitely made it so that, for instance, if you eat the same things a lot, it's not as difficult. But all this said, I'm just saying, like, personally, I feel like I've hit a goal and I've made it. And it's one of the first ones that I've had in a long time where I feel like I actually set a difficult one that I hit. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Professionally is a little tougher though, because professionally speaking, I am more or less an at-home dad who...
Your son doesn't really give you any performance reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But of course, I went to film school and all of that. So I did have dreams at one point about, I don't know, doing film and whatnot. And Battle of the Beer kind of came out of that to a certain degree, wanting to create content. The problem is I realized all this a little too late in my life it's not too late, but it's just bad timing, because we started a family right after film school, and that kind of makes it a little difficult to do what you have to do in film, which is be on a lot of film sets. Doesn't matter what you know. It's all about who you know. They say that a lot, but it's true, because the people you work with are who are going to get you on the next job. I didn't get one call to work on any film shoots or TV shows at all this year. And I knew that was going to be the case, because the less exposure you get to jobs, the more likely you're not going to be called back. Because if you say no to one job, it takes too much time for them to ask you every time if you're available. They'll just go to the next person who's available all the time.
Yep.
So sidestepping from that, I guess really it all comes into, kind of folds together with Fluxtaposed, Battle of the Beer, and anything else we've done, like t-shirt creation or anything like that. I've always been a creative person to a certain extent, and I've always had the creative curse, which is I never finish anything, but I start a lot of things. So really, I guess my goals are professionally are to get things done for Fluxtaposed and for the other things that we do, creatively speaking, that I don't want to say make money or anything like that, because it would be nice. I'm not going to lie. It'd be nice to do a podcast and just get paid for that, but that's not realistic. But it would be nice to have a body of work or whatever that I can be proud of. And I do to a certain degree, but there's always improvement when it comes to Fluxtapose. We've always talked about what, thanks to, our Patreon and people who have supported us, the community, what can we get that will improve the quality of the show? So we got a mixer, we've gotten different programs here and there. We've tried different things and exploring those avenues, and basically we've always realized on the show, like, we can be a little complacent sometimes, but we're always good about knowing that we're being that way. And then we go, it's almost like we have to have that little like blah moment to go up to the next level, because that's what kicks us in the butt and says,
Yeah,
okay, we what we're doing isn't working. Let's, big creative energy. All of a sudden we're going to figure out what the next step is. And then we're going to take that another leap forward. So, I think that's kind of our goals from here, for Fluxtapose, is just to continue to improve the show and do that by making it more legit, I guess. So,
yeah.
which is great for me, because I don't mind doing things like sound and stuff like that, or editing and whatnot, time permitted. But the thing about like being on a film set is they're not just going to say, hey, do you want to run all this sound equipment? Unless it's a really, really janky shoot. They're not just going to give you a bunch of equipment that you have no experience with, give you time to figure out how it works, and then, let yourself get experience that way. They expect you to already know how to do that stuff. And so
Right.
through the show, it's kind of nice to dink around with a mixer, for better or worse, and kind of get experience with that and slowly build my tool set even more. So yeah, that's those are I guess in a sense the goals, or at least what we shoot for, and kind of what we keep in our sights, and my sights.
Well,
I guess.
when you achieve your goals, Lucas, how do you celebrate?
Well, I'd say I drink beer, but I do that all the time.
I don't think that's the one thing I probably don't do enough. I don't really like when it's been something, work related. We might have a dinner, or we'll go out to lunch. My wife, something like that, or we have like a hooray for personal stuff, from the like family stuff. But I mean, it's probably one thing we don't draw enough attention to celebrate. And I think here at Fluxtaposed, we've heard certain milestones, we've done certain things, and we've done. That's the tough thing, is like, how do we make, like episode 50 was a milestone, episode 100 was a milestone, episode 200 was a milestone. We tried to do something different. We've done something different each time to celebrate that. Episode 300, what will we do? I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I think it's important to at least acknowledge them, and I think maybe to make them more of a celebration, to celebrate the milestones, the accomplishments, is something I need to work on myself.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Sorry, I turned myself down so I could type. I'm the same way. Like I know as a person, I seek kind of words of encouragement, or anybody who kind of identifies and sees what I've done, obviously, because why does anybody do anything for the most part except to be acknowledged? That's the word that I'm looking for. So I feel like and usually my wife is the one who kind of does that for me. She's just like, hey, I noticed you've been really good with your diet lately. Good job, or whatever. And that's typically all that I really need, are those words of encouragement and a little bit of acknowledgement that I see you've been working harder, or hey, I see you're doing this, and I think that's cool. That's all I need. And then a big shot of tequila.
Perfect. There you go. We
clearly need your suggestions as to how we should be celebrating.
Yeah, we need your suggestions, Nathan. Help us
to party boy.
That concludes our listener suggested choice lightning round thingamajubers. And now we're going to play a little Overclock remix, come back with some What You Play, and finish out the show. For those uninitiated, we do like to feature a song from OC Remix every week on the show. We pull one randomly from the front page of that website, and hopefully we've had a couple other remixes hit.
I see a Mega Man 2 one.
Thin out the second Densetsu 3 album, so we'll see.
I'm gonna spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel, my friend. I'll keep drinking this Schlitz.
Oh my God! Let me see. Oh, we were one away from getting that Mega Man 2 remix, but it might be just as good because let's get dangerous.
Oh my goodness! Very nice. As Lucas has alluded, our remix tonight comes from the NES hit Darkwing Duck. It's called Playtime's Over.
Though? Wasn't an NES hit?
It was. Our remixer is Cyness. This was released on Darkwing Duck was released by Capcom 1992 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It features the song from the FOWL Fowls Floating Fortress.
Oh God, I forgot about Fowl.
It's EDM, it's psytrance, it's energetic, it's funky, it's jazzy. It's 4 minutes and 45 seconds long, so you got some time to kick back, go get a snack, fill up your glass one more time before you come back.
I thought you got a rhyme going. I was like, dang.
I know.
Get a snack, kick back before you come back.
Fill up your glass before you come back to round out the show.
Don't break your neck. That's a slant rhyme.
And I urge you guys to check out Overclock Remix. OCRemix.org is the web address. Also, if you're need an option to stream some stuff, you need some music to help get you through the day, and you're tired of listening to podcasts, check out rainwave.cc. That is the official, not really the official streaming partner, but they stream the entire OC Remix
so you'd
catalog
say it's
on there.
The unofficial. It's the unofficial streaming.
I think they are official, honestly, but it's
they're not
cool
affiliated
feature.
Though, right?
They're not
just somebody
directly
did it and they were like, "Hey, that's okay."
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And you can vote on the songs. You can request a song from the library. You can vote on songs. It's just a cool little feature. I'm kind of curious. Lucas, it's the download set. I
am ready.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious. I wonder how the OC Remix Patreon is doing, because I haven't been on there anymore.
What do they? Oh, Patreon. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, because they're a nonprofit, so they use that to help mitigate site costs.
I thought for some reason in my brain I was thinking Kickstarter, like they had a goal or something.
Well, they have. What is this? Oh wow, they've changed their goals up a little bit. But right now they're at $1,500 out of 2,000, where they'll get more music. But I don't know if they'll hit it now, because now it's 3,000, where they'll have lossless remixes. And then what I've always been excited for is a mobile app.
Oh, like lossless audio quality.
Yeah.
Dang.
But they'll have a mobile app for an actual Overclock Remix official mobile app, which I can only imagine is like you'd be able to just pull up the app and access and stream anything.
If I could just have a radio on app for that, because I don't want to have to just download a bunch of songs and then throw them on my phone or
That's why I use TuneIn, which Fluxtaposed run TuneIn now. I use TuneIn Radio because you can stream Rainwave.
Oh, that's nice. I'll have to check that out then.
So I use that. But I've got on enough. Excuse me, on enough about that. We're gonna play this remix and we'll come back to some What You Play and finish the show. Again, OCRemix.org. Take it away, Lucas. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Well, that had a long fade out outro. I'm like, we got 20 seconds to go. And as soon as I typed that to Jason, it started fading out. And I was like, oh,
Oh, no, we don't.
okay. No, we don't. Oh, well. It all worked out.
Before we jump into what you're playing, I want to mention, because I'm actively following the project, I haven't personally backed it yet, but the Undergrads the movie Kickstarter is currently at $80,015 Canadian out of 87,816.
Whoa. With how much time left?
15 days. So it's looking.
Oh, it's looking pretty good
right now.
Pretty good.
Yeah, which is funny to the loyal fans who've stuck with the show for almost 2 decades after its cancellation.
That's you.
That's me. Yep. So there you go. Yeah. How about we do a little what you playing and get this podcast
Yoo-hoo!
Yahoo! Lucas, I've been all about comic books lately.
Hey,
up
me
until
too.
tonight, I had played 0 games. I brought my Switch with me on the trip and never even took it out of its travel case.
Wow. That's crazy.
Much after your praise, I was like, okay, I got to start reading Saga. So I finally cracked volume 1 open, and man, you weren't kidding. I forget how good of a writer Brian K. Vaughan is. I really liked his stuff on Star Wars that he had done. That's been my first exposure with him, and just the writing, but just the setting and the character design in Saga is so much different than anything else I've ever seen before, and I really like the colors and the art style.
Oh, there's an issue cover that I would totally buy as a like a poster or something like that.
Oh, nice. What is that one bounty hunter called? Is the stock?
Stock. Yep.
Never seen anything like that.
Yeah, they're all called the bounty hunter. Oh yeah, that thing. She's like a spider on the lower half, but then she also has a woman torso.
A woman's torso
with no
and
arms.
head, but then spider eyes. It's really pretty wild.
Creepy,
and then the whole robot kingdom and that whole side of thing, and
those are pretty weird too, because they have TVs for heads.
Yeah, but they're humanoid. It's all very interesting. I almost get, I'll feel terrible if you already mentioned it, but from our talk last week, but something about the weird animals and everything about it, just not animals, but the creatures, kind of gives me almost a beyond the good and evil.
Yeah, I could see. I didn't say that, but I could totally see that. Yes.
Just in the mashup of humans, and we had the Moonies and everything. It just, I won't go on about it because you talked about it in full, but I mean, it definitely deserves all the praise and accolades that it's gotten, because it's just a very, very high quality book. Lumberjanes Volume 2, continuing my reading of that. As we mentioned last week, the same author that wrote Nimona also has done Lumberjanes, and it's just more of the same from these girls at camp, and now the story is kind of fleshed out a little more, what's been going on, what caused some of these supernatural disturbances. And that kind of Volume 2 there kind of wraps up this first whole arc so now I think it's ready to expand into new territory. So I requested Volume 3 and 4 from the library. Volume 4 is ready. Volume 3 is not. So I'm going to wait and not get Volume 4 as long as possible until my hold almost expires. So that way there's a chance that Volume 3 comes in before that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then show-wise, there's another different comic book. I keep scouring the internet for suggested graphic novels, so I'll pull from that list and keep adding to mine. So I have one comic from there. I still can't think of the name. Black Sad, that's the name.
Yeah.
It's like a noir anthropomorphic animal story of some sort. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And then I'll probably at some point jump into East of West again, but then Lucas, believe it or not, it's still in the shrink wrap. God Hates Astronauts. I haven't read that yet.
That's the one with the wrestling bear or whatever.
Yeah, and you gave that you gifted that to me, right?
Oh yeah, because you saw it. We were at the the comic book shop together, which was a rarity in itself. And you were looking at it and you're like, man, I'm not going to buy it today, but that's pretty cool. So I got it for you
Yeah,
for
it was like a birthday thing. Yeah,
And
years ago.
well, yeah, you got to get on that, boy.
I know. So
That well,
might
if it
finally
makes you feel any better, you got me the Goon, and I read that, but I never like followed up with it. But now I think if I can, I will at the library because I liked it.
Yeah.
It was very it was cartoony, but it was still mature, so it was interesting.
Like the library is like made me passionate about comics again because it's just so much easier to read a volume than an issue.
And
you
not have
know?
to store it and keep it.
Yeah, exactly. The Haunting of Hill House. After we recorded last week, last week Thursday, Jessica and I finished that. The last 2 episodes wraps up pretty well. I would have to say this is probably going to be it appears it's going to be a self-contained one and done season.
Okay.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's fantastic. I thought and like had a lot of great scary moments, just high quality moments in the show itself. I don't know. I really liked it. So what can I say more about it? It was good. You should watch it. And then I've been watching Adventure Time, like in season 4 still of Adventure Time.
Nice.
Lucas, I have to break show flow here, but I wonder if your computer is either doing some updates or an antivirus scan or
Nope. Nothing.
something, because I'm getting ton of bad performance, and then I'm watching, like I have the stream up in the background. I'm getting a lot of like freezing in the Twitch stream.
I don't have any dropped frames, so perhaps it is on your side. Why don't
Yeah.
Why don't you finish up and I'll pull up? Or did you already?
Well, that is it for me. I'm going to refresh my.
Okay, let me pull it up. I just want to make sure
browser
too. It shouldn't take too long, and I'll continue with. Of course, I'm gonna have to
watch
watch
after
it.
I mention it. Now everything's gonna be fine. You know.
Well, you were saying that I was stuttering and stuff beforehand, so I shouldn't be having any issues over here. But I wouldn't. It's not like I restarted my computer before this or anything. So every once in a while,
every once in a while they get you.
They do get you. They do get you.
I'll put that up to people. If you have a graphic novel recommendation I should check out, please. I would send it to Lucas and myself because we're both very much consuming that content.
All of the X-Men that there is.
Ha!
No, I'm not getting too much besides the typical black flickering that the.
Maybe it was a temporary thing and it's better now, so we'll just go with it.
Okay.
Oh, and then I should mention, I forgot. Yeah, I fired up Dead Space before the stream. I had a little free time gifted to me, so I fired up Dead Space. I finished chapter 11 and I started chapter 12, which is the last chapter in the game. I did not finish it. I probably won't. Part of me considered trying to finish it after the show, but I think I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to table that for another time.
Oh, I figured you would actually. So, but you do what you feel like doing.
How much do you think I have left?
I honestly don't remember. I would imagine probably half hour, 45 minutes, maybe.
That's what I figure. So yeah, I think I'll save that for another. So, maybe later this week we'll finish Dead Space. The journey that we started a year ago will finally come to an end. Finish Dead Space on stream. So.
Nice. I will applaud you when that happens.
I have to say, I still, really positive about that game. I have to say the worst part about it are the controls and the resolution. Like I can just tell, like the resolution's really small playing on the PC still, even though I've increased it. Just like when you move, you just still feel really close. Everything feels so close to you, and like Isaac just controls very
like
tanky.
Your FOV needs to be a little bit higher.
The FOV needs to pull back, and like I understand because of the suit, maybe you should feel a little clunky, but it doesn't feel very very fluid at all. And just feel like I'm swaying around, and it's just very clunky in his movement. And I'm kind of at this point ready for the game to be done because it's kind of in some regards it's overstayed its welcome with some of the mechanics. Where it's like, okay, go in this room. Oh, there's going to be a lockdown. Kill enemies till they stop coming.
Yep.
All right, now go on. Oh, do you hear music? Here comes the bad guys. Kill them. Okay, keep going.
I remember feeling that way to a certain degree too, and I liked the game. So
yeah, and not to say that I don't like the game because I do still enjoy it. I'm ready to be done. Like I knew, like that guy on the shuttle. I was like, oh, guess what? He's gonna die. And it's hard for me to like suspend my disbelief. Where me as the player, I have this power suit and all these weapons at my disposal that have kept me alive, and then these unarmed NPCs have survived all this time, like that one doofy scientist, and I'm pretty safe to assume, sure that that's not my. Is that his wife or his girlfriend? I can't remember that. I'm
Yeah.
not that she's not real. She's an apparition of my mind or my own reality, you know.
I
So
can't tell you that.
I know. So I just find it really hard that, and then you get that spoilers, you get that double cross there that just happened to me, and the other dude got taken out by that giant monster thing in an earlier chapter. So I'm interested to see how much Dead Space 2 improves over
The
that
storytelling
when
is
I try
way
that.
better in that one. And I think the controls might be too. I don't remember.
Yeah, like my problem is I just don't like the audio logs. Yeah, I listen to, but like the journals, I don't read them. I just,
Yeah.
I don't. Ain't nobody got time for that,
True
you know.
that. True that.
So,
True enough.
yeah, looking forward to finishing it up and moving on to Dead Space 2. And heck, maybe I'll even get really crazy, and then it'll be time for a Steam sale. Maybe I'll have to pick up Dead Space 3,
Oh god, I think you're going to
and
be
then I'll
very
say,
disappointed.
Lucas, let's play it co-op.
I would, sadly, if that's even possible these days. Who knows? I don't know if it's server based or what, but
Well, there's ways around that.
that's true. That's true. That is true.
We'll make it work.
Speaking of which, I was talking about on Thursday, I should probably get back to streaming some Resident Evil. I tried streaming Forza Horizon 4, and that doesn't seem to be working that well because it's not game capture, so it takes a lot to capture the window instead through the software. And two, doesn't really seem to be that popular just in general. There's probably a lot of people playing it already, and it's just a racing game. Like, there's nothing to react to. So I'm just, other than my bad driving, there's not. Although I did, the last time I streamed it, I'm pretty sure nobody watched it. Well, people were like, yeah, you should stream that. And then I did, and then nobody watched it. And so I was already upset. But it was such a pain in the ass to actually stream that I was mad about that. But then I was in winter time. So it was driving was atrocious, and so I'm pretty sure you can see on my face that I'm just done. Like, I just stopped the stream. I didn't even say, okay, I'm signing off. I just quit because I was so annoyed at how impossible it was to handle. But yeah, I need to get back to Resident Evil before I forget what the hell's going on. And I look forward to that game, so should play more of it probably Thursday. Speaking of which, comics anyways, I told you that I had started Watchmen. I don't think did I talk about this last week? I don't think I did.
No, because you had mentioned to me on Discord that you were starting it.
So I was looking for a new rental or borrow for the Hoopla app to read it on my phone. And I was reading something else, which I'll talk about, but it turns out they only have the first volume of that. And other volumes exist. I made sure before I got too upset about it, but so they didn't have any more of that. So I decided to move on to something that I've meant to read for quite some time, and that's Watchmen. I've never read it. You've talked about it before on the podcast, because you went back and read it again after like close to when the movie came out or when.
Well, I had never actually. The movie was my first. I had no idea what Watchmen was.
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember seeing the trailers for it, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" DC.
Oh, you bought
no idea.
You bought the one that came with it, right?
No.
graphic
So
novel?
we went and saw. We were in Chicago. It was like one of our first trips away together. We were in Chicago, and my wife and I, and when we were first dating, and we went and saw Watchmen on opening night, at Navy Pier, which was really cool. And then while we were still in Chicago, like at Barnes and Noble, whatever, I picked up the graphic novel and then read it like in 2 days. Like then in 2 days, I read the whole thing after. So I saw the movie, and then I wanted to read it, and then I went back and read the graphic novel
twice over.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I love the color in this thing. I'm not going to get too into it because everybody knows Watchmen at this point, but the color, because this came out in the 80s, right? The original Watchmen was released in the 80s.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it shows, but now it's kind of swung back the other way where it's cool again because the way the colors just pop off from the page, and yeah, I don't know. It's just really great to look at, as well as read, obviously.
September 86 to October of 87.
I wanted to say 86, but that's also because that's when I was born. When I am born. So I am naturally gravitated towards that date. The other thing I've been reading, I got from the library, and it's something I can't remember who told me I should read it, but I've always heard it's really good. And I know they make that gigantic, like, compendium, omnibus, whatever, hardcover book of this comic or this graphic novel.
That's the best way to read Walking Dead, I find.
Yes, but I don't want, this one is like unwieldy, so I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I did the volumes instead, the trade paperbacks, and that is The Sandman. Now, I went into this knowing absolutely nothing about this. Literally nothing as far as the story goes or who this character is or whatever. It's a bit tough to get into at first, but once it gets going, slight spoilers. Jason, do you care? Not story-wise, but about expectations, I guess.
No, because I don't think I don't think I'm going to read Sandman. I've heard enough about it. I just don't think it's quite.
It's tough to chew on because you're like, when you're reading it, you're like, what the hell is going on? It's one of those things where you kind of start, they don't explain anything, so you're kind of left to try to figure out some of the things, like who some of these demons and stuff that keep coming up, who they are and who these other people are. And but what I didn't know about this is that the Justice League are in this story to a certain degree. Batman is in here, and this is a Vertigo comic. So I don't know if they're like owned by DC or what, but John Constantine is another person who's in this.
The who's who of comic scene, John Constantine.
A little bit. And so I wasn't expecting that at all. And this is completely different than it's not very superhero-y at all. So I don't really know what to expect from it, I guess. I'm almost at the end of the first volume, and I have the second one to continue, and I'm enjoying it. But like I said, it's a bit much to chew on. So it's not as easy of a read as some of the other stuff. Just as far as like, even the way the panels work out sometimes are kind of tough. There's a lot of visual information going on. So I'm enjoying it, but it's just kind of slow going, I guess. And then the other thing, the comic I was reading before I switched over to Watchmen was called Sweet Tooth, and this was on one of those lists, top 100, whatever.
Yes, I'm curious about this one because I'm contemplating.
I almost skipped it. I didn't really like the way the artwork looked on the front cover. The artwork is a little rough. It's not too bad, but it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen. And it also kind of starts out without telling you too much about the world, other than some sort of disease or something hit and took out a lot of people and made them sick, and they slowly died off. And everybody who's left is kind of in a sort of apocalyptic type situation. Much of humanity has been abandoned, and people are living in groups inside of like broken down towns and stuff like that. And it tells the story of, I can't remember what they're called, but they are hybrids, I think is what they're called. They're human children that have characteristics of animals. So, for instance, our main character, Sweet Tooth, is a human boy, but has the antlers of a deer. And it doesn't really explain how that happened yet, anyways. And he lives alone in the forest with his dad, but his dad's sick, and he's very religious, and he's very isolationist. And he tells his son not to leave the forest ever, because all that happens out there is sin, and you'll burn, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, his dad dies one day, and a man shows up in the forest that saves his life, and offers him a candy bar, and that's kind of where he's never had outside food before. He's only had food they've grown at the house or at the cabin, and so that's why he's called Sweet Tooth. And he takes him. The whole first volume is about this guy taking him to what's called the preserve, where there's other kids like him, because oftentimes they're hunted for, I guess, testing or something, but people will hunt these children and sell them off or whatever. So he's a little bit dubious of this guy and what he wants, but eventually he decides to go with him because he can't stay in the cabin anymore because people know where he is now.
The art style is rather interesting.
It takes a little bit to get used to. I wouldn't say it's pretty, that's for sure.
No.
Very utilitarian. I mean, I hate to say it like this, but it kind of feels like something I could have drawn to a certain degree if I just kept at it, you know? So it's not super anatomically correct or anything like that. Oftentimes I find like the heads are a little bit bigger than the bodies and stuff like that, but it looks good, and it's expressive enough that I think it gets the point across, and you get used to it after a while anyways. It's just not your typical superhero type stuff where you see like, you know, muscular bodies and perfect anatomy and whatnot. So yeah, it tells the story of this kid who rides along with this guy, and he's going to take him to a place called the Preserve. And it's about, you learn a little bit about the world as they go. You learn a little bit about this guy, and you learn a little bit about Sweet Tooth. And it was good enough that I want to check out the next volumes. So it definitely, volume 1 ends at a place where you're kind of like, I kind of want to know what happens next. So
is it, how many volumes is the total run? Do you know?
I think I saw 4 so far, but I'm not 100% sure. You might want to look that up because I don't know, but I can't imagine it's very long.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not anyways, because I don't know how long this premise could really go on for.
Right.
Probably like 4 or 5 maybe. And 6 issues each or something like that. So I watched a movie. Having been sick for most of the week, I didn't do a whole lot other than go to bed early and feel like garbage. But I did watch a movie because, again, Netflix DVD, and you're just like, well, I could either have these sit around my house for a month, or I could just watch it and then send it back. So Lake Mungo was the other film that I had heard of because of that conversation that Jim Sterling had on his podcast about trying to figure out scary movies that he would like. And he said this one was pretty creepy because it seemed very realistic. And what I didn't know about the movie is that it's filmed as if it's a documentary.
Oh.
And at first
shaky cam?
No shaky cam.
Oh.
Actually, it did a really good job of almost feeling like a real documentary, but it is not.
Right.
However, it was interesting. The story went in places that I didn't expect, and then it kind of came full circle to an ending that, while not unexpected, felt right, I guess. I wasn't disappointed that I knew sort of not what was going to happen, but just kind of where it was leading. And it tells the story of a family whose daughter drowned in a lake on a camping trip. And subsequently, they feel that their house is haunted by her ghost. And so part of the documentary, or most of it, is talking about kind of what they go through to determine whether or not they are being visited by her spirit. And some other things come up along the way. I don't really want to spoil it. I doubt you'll probably ever watch it because of the availability. This movie is either you get it on DVD or they have it on that Shudder app, scary movie thing. And so I think it's kind of confusing too, because when you rent it, it says on the DVD like part of an 8 movie series of Thrill Fest or something like that. And you're like, okay, so is this a short film, or like, did I just rent 8 short films, or what's going on? So that's why I was didn't know what to expect either. And I guess it's just a collection. It's probably was for like a horror film fest or something that they did these movies for, would be my guess anyway. So it has nothing really to do with that, but it was just kind of another layer of like, what's going on here? So those are the two ways. I think you could also pay for it on like YouTube or Vudu or something like that. But who's going to do that? Who pays for things?
Right.
So I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's interested in it out there, but I will say that it's it's a touch of paranormal activity without as much Hollywood. Well, I mean, I guess that was a low budget too, but without as much scary gotcha moments and stuff like that. There weren't any jump scares or anything like that.
93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's good. I mean, it's surprising in the sense that it's not your typical story. It's like that. It was like Crimson Peak. It's like, it's not a horror film or it's not a ghost movie. It's a movie that has ghosts in it, if that makes any sense. So
okay.
From that perspective, I could really appreciate it. It wasn't anything more than creepy, but it had an interesting premise that I thought was worth kind of mulling over. I guess the way I can compactly say what the premise of the movie is, and so spoiler alert for like 5 seconds, is that the girl ends up, before she died in the lake, she kind of foresaw the fact that she was going to die, but she saw it from the perspective of her already being dead. So she didn't understand what these messages were that she kept getting in her dreams and stuff like that. So like, that's the extra layer of not just the haunting, but also the fact that she was having things going on with her before she ended up dying that day. And that gets revealed towards the end of the movie. So, and I think that it helped give it a couple of different layers to just keep it from just being a haunting movie about another haunted house that has a ghost in it. So,
is the song Mungo City featured anywhere in?
I wish, but no.
Mungo City, where are you?
Is that Space Hog?
That is Space Hog.
I have not heard Space Hog in a while. No, unfortunately. I actually don't remember there being much music at all since it was a documentary.
Whoa.
So, no music and no fun times. Lastly, speaking of fun times, I snuck in a game last night with listener Callow. We played Destiny 2, and he was gracious enough to gift me the Forsaken expansion because he got what he quoted as great deal. So
great jorb.
He did a great jorb. And I told him, I said, well, I'll play it with you, but I'll have no idea what the hell is going on. But all I know is you shoot things. So what do you need to know, really? I mean, I've only played this game a handful of times, and it's fun every time. It's like Halo mixed with I was thinking of it last night. It's like Halo mixed with like an MMORPG or something, Diablo, because you have this sense of like killing a lot of mobs and everything, a lot of little enemies that you have to shoot and everything. But the whole feeling of it is very Halo because it's very Space Marine-y. You have a lot of different space suits and you're flying around in a like the way that you get places is really cool because you take your personal vehicle to the next planet or whatever, sort of like Knights of the Old Republic, the MMORPG, where your cutscenes would be where you're loading is you flying to the next planet. You don't control the spaceship or anything. It's just kind of background dressing, but it works because it's really cool looking and the enemies were really awesome. Again, I have no idea who they are. I guess they're the Forsaken. I don't know. But there's a story. There's a story, and they're celebrating Halloween, so I guess we did some Halloween stuff too. But I let Callow just kind of lead the way, and I'm just like, I'm here to shoot stuff. So
hey,
it's pretty solid.
That's not bad.
It's pretty solid. You got your loot grind, and you're getting that fat loot, and you're grinding out your levels or whatever. So it's solid stuff, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I really appreciate that I can drop in and out of that game without really having to feel too bad about like, you know how you get into like World of Warcraft after you've been gone, and you're just like, you look at your hot bar in all of your abilities, and you're just like, I don't remember what half of this stuff does. That's not as bad here. You just have a few abilities.
Like if I tried to play Star Wars: The Old Republic right now, like when I was a tank, when I had my my Sith Juggernaut, and it was just like I had all the skills and I had specific rotations to use the abilities.
Yep.
I was like, nope, don't want to go
1,
back and
2,
relearn that.
3, 4. Okay, one just.
Okay, and now I use Shift Q, right mouse button. Okay, Shift middle mouse button, Control left click.
Gosh.
Yeah, no.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I mean, Callow was talking to me in Destiny, about it too, and it's like, and so is Dev, because those guys will talk about Destiny anytime you want. I think this is a game I would. You really would like this a lot. I think I would really love Destiny. It's just unfortunately I don't have the monetary space to buy another game in 2019 that I haven't already committed to, or excuse me, 2018, and then let alone the free time to invest in a game like this. The free gaming time, I should say.
And that is the one good thing about this, is that once you get past the initial stuff, because that's where Callow and I ran into an issue, is there is like an hour's worth of stuff you have to do ahead of time before you can open up the rest of the game. But once you do that, you can join up in a group with anybody of any level, and it doesn't matter. It just, I don't know how it works. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it makes sure everybody's getting experience and stuff.
Yeah, while playing together, you're still progressing. You're not being hamstrung because you're higher level.
Exactly, and it's still challenging. You don't have somebody who's 20 levels higher than you rolling through everything, and you get like 1 XP for every kill, and you're like, whoa, we're playing together.
Like in
for
Borderlands.
No reason. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I recommend it, and I haven't played it enough to really know if I should be recommending it, but I enjoy it so far, and I got it through Humble Bundle, so I don't feel too bad. But hopefully we play some more of it. So, and I actually plan on. It seems good enough to play single player to at least get the story and move through that, because there are cutscenes. It's got a very Blizzardy feel as far as some of the cinematics that are going on. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's high quality stuff. So high quality stuff.
Much high quality, wild.
And that's it.
Wild stuff.
Wild. Wow.
Excellent. All right. Well, let me see if I can dig up this article for the community grab bag, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
I need to get the come on now. I need to get the Spanish Flea song back on here.
Yeah,
just
right,
have it
man.
loop.
That was where it's at. Okay, so my Dan Anthony article this week comes from MLive, and the headline reads as follows. As it's loading. Exploding toilets with recalled part have injured 23, caused $710,000 in damages.
Oh yeah, water damage probably. No joke.
Yeah, so
blew up somebody's
apparently
rectum.
1.4 million pressure-assisted flushing systems linked to exploding toilets in North America. So
pressure system. I don't understand. Pressure?
It's like this flushmate valve type flushing unit.
It was actually designed to explode, just not at that time.
Affected flushmate pressure-assisted flushing systems, including the recall, were installed inside of toilets and tanks manufactured between 1996 and 2013. The new Hudson,
really
Michigan-based
large
company says. Of the 23 injuries reported in the recall, it's said to have required foot surgery. One of the 23 is said to require foot surgery.
Could you imagine, like, you just sit down and all you want to do is drop a loaf, and next thing you know, well, then again, though, I think about the times that I flush the toilet, and I'm typically not that close to it, so that thing has got to be, it's got some...
Yeah, I don't know what a pressure-assisted, like...
Is it like one of those toilets that when you flush it, it sounds like a jet engine just started up, and it's...
The big jump.
And you're just like, whoa, calm down.
I think that's what it is.
I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, I forgot to show you this during my What You Playing, but I found this when I was going to the bathroom earlier. It's my original Forza Motorsport for
Whoa.
Xbox game. I don't know what happened to my Xbox, but I have this. So there you have it, folks. Told you.
Vintage.
Now, if I found Project Gotham Racing, that would have been something.
If I found Project Gotham Racing. If I found
aggressive
Project Gotham
alpine
Racing.
skiing.
If I found Project Gotham Racing.
Only you and I know what we're talking about.
If I found Project Gotham Racing. All right,
Somebody
on that
stop
note,
this man.
we are going to end the show. As always, thank you everyone for watching, listening, subscribing, downloading, sharing. We
telling
appreciate it
telling your
all.
friends about us, your moms, your uncles.
Give us those iTunes reviews.
Punch
Give
that
us
like
those-
button.
Punch the like button. Hey, come to those of you who have, please check out Fluxtaposed on Twitch, twitch.tv/Fluxtaposed. Give us a follow on the channel. We're at 41. We're 9 away from 50.
Come on. There's 9 people out there who.
That's right. There's 9 people who haven't done it yet. Please do it. Do it now. And we have to say thank you to all of our patrons. Patreon.com/Fluxtaposed. But special thanks to our arbiters of awesomeness, Kevin Austin, Kyle Heyman, Edwin Callow, Tyler R. Rowland, Tom Servo, and our executors of excellence, Josh Raboni, Dan Anthony, and Siri Renee. We thank you each and every week, each and every month.
You didn't have to do it, but you
for your
did.
support.
But you
and
did.
You didn't have to, but you keep doing it. Thank you.
And we thank you.
Thank you. Stick around next week. We'll have a gaming episode, hopefully, for you. And yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for watching. We'll save you a seat for the next one. Goodbye.